Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for Renaissance Periodization. I have a question for you. Why does keto seem to work so well for weight loss? In fact, it does. And I can think of a few reasons, and I can think of a few ways to make keto better for yourself that if you're into it for weight loss, you can get even better results with fewer downsides, fewer inconveniences. So why does keto work so well? There are 4 good reasons. One is that if you switch to keto, which means cutting out almost or pretty much all carbs, your junk food options become very reduced. And the way that most people get fatter and stay fatter is they eat a lot of junk. Let's go through a quick list of junk. Pizza, ice cream, cookies, cakes, candies, cheeseburgers, pastas, Chinese food, soda. Need I go on? Potato chips. Which one of those food or food groups or food types did not have a ton of carbs in it? All of them have a ton of carbs in there. So if you say I'm keto, when you're a regular person, most people who do keto are just regular folks, not super into lifting or anything like that. They look around the food they're allowed to eat, and it turns out that none of it's very junky. And junk food isn't somehow toxic or kills you in some weird way. Some of it is some preservatives which aren't ideal for your health, but it's a really small thing. The real kicker with junk food is that it's so delicious and so packed with calories, you're going to end up eating a lot of it, and that's going to confer so many calories, you're going to gain weight. You're going to eat more calories than you actually burn. But when you switch to keto, what you eating them calories with, dog? What you cheating on? Chicken breast and olive oil and nuts and fatty meats, and how much of that can you eat until you're like, nah, I'm full? Because junk food is almost entirely off limits for keto, that is one of the number one reasons why people who do keto often get a lot of weight loss, because they're able to excise junk food essentially completely from their diet, or almost completely, for months on end, because it's cause number 1 of weight gain and failure to lose weight. When it leaves, you just lose weight like crazy. Number 2, some people, not all, get an appetite lowering effect from reducing the carbohydrates and switching to a mostly protein and fat diet. That's not dependably true for most people, but some people have a really awesome response where after a few days of eating very few carbs, they're actually just not that hungry. Combine that lack of hunger with the fact that keto doesn't exactly offer the tastiest junk food choices, and you're just eating less food. And eating less food is absolutely the number 1 key ingredient to almost every fat loss diet that's ever successful. So if you are one of these people, you can have great success with keto, and almost everyone that has great success with keto, and don't worry, they'll be in the comment section telling us about how great keto is, and they're not wrong. Those are the people who have the genetics that take their appetite and reduce it when they switch to keto. Some people, it just makes them extra fucking hungry. They'll never see them espousing keto because they failed every time they tried it. So if that is an effect for you, my recommendation is give it a week or 2. In the first week, you could be kind of recovering from your carb withdrawal and you just want more carbs. But after a week or 2, you might get a very lowered appetite sensation, and that's really awesome. Use that to keep your calories low and constrained, eat keto, and you'll lose a bunch of weight. If after a few weeks you're still ravenous, maybe it's not for you. Next, keto can be really straightforward, that because it constrains your choices, you end up having just dependable choices throughout the day that you can lean into and eat. And that regularity, that consistency prescribes a similar amount of calories over each day. And if you're at a deficit, which you probably are on keto, because it's really hard to eat enough calories when you take out carbs entirely, you end up being successful. So you might have a keto bar or 2 you eat for breakfast. You might have some eggs and chicken you eat for lunch. You might have some lean steak and some veggies and some mushrooms and something you eat for dinner. And that's kind of like what you stick to. You're not apt to go and try to find all kinds of tasty, crazy foods with pasta this and macaroni that, because that's all off limits. And because keto can be really simple to stick to, and if you want a snack, you eat some nuts or something like that, because keto is so straightforward and the food choices are so limited, you can make a keto plan for yourself that's actually really just not complicated. And because it's not complicated, you can adhere to it better. Because you adhere to it better, you get the results for the entire time that you're doing it. Lastly, point number 4, there is a sense in which keto works well to lose weight, which is really fat. But keto also has this magical effect of getting you right into a diet because it lowers your body water tremendously. Carbohydrates plus the salt intake that is occurring anytime you eat junk food, those 2 things together bring in tons of water with them, carbs and salt. And when you start doing keto, you lose your intramuscular carbohydrate stores, or they get severely reduced, substantially. It's not a bad thing. and your salt intake generally also falls considerably, what ends up happening is you lose 5, 10, sometimes 15 pounds in the first week or two, mostly off of body water reducing. That obviously is going to come back when you start eating carbs and salt and regular food again, but that initial huge loss of weight can act as a mega inspiration and potentiator for you mentally to keep going. Because if you start a diet, you lose like a pound in the first week and then you gain half a pound in the second, you could be like, man, fuck this, I'm out. But if you start a diet and after 8 days, you've lost 9 pounds, you're like, bro, what? I'm in. And then the next 8 weeks, you might not lose 9 pounds every week. You'll probably lose more like 1 or 2. But because you started off big and then you kept going, that initial inspiration just leads you all the way through. And then you get the mini gains on the way and it's just more than enough. So it's a cool situation. It's not a bad thing. You just have to understand that it's not all fat at first. Don't expect it to continue to lose 5 pounds every week or something like that. Now, if you want the optimum results for muscle growth, for muscle retention, for your best lean physique, for energy, for athletic performance, doing a more balanced diet that has enough carbs to do what you need to do with your body at the highest level, a diet like the RP Diet Coach app can prescribe to you, you will get better results than with keto. But if you respond well to keto, if you get that appetite suppression effect, if you actually can do keto in a way that's sustainable, which means you have good food choices around that you can make around keto, you can do keto and it works absolutely great. It's not ideal by a small few percentage points, but as long as you're not trying to compete in bodybuilding or something or be the best athlete you can be or have the ripped, most chiseled physique, keto is a great option if it works for you. But if it doesn't work for you, remember, it's not magical. If you're trying to cut the carbs and it never works, you get crazy hungry, you get crazy low energy, there's no appetite suppression ever, and the food choice restrictions are really limiting and you hate your life, stop trying keto, at least for a bit. Try something like the RP Diet Coach app. Try something just regular eating good, high quality, healthy food, lower your calories, increase your activity, and you're going to get amazing results because keto isn't for everyone, but for the people it works great.
What do you get when PhD sports scientists collaborate with pro bodybuilders? The most effective muscle growth training app ever made. Get yours now.
One last thing, if you're going to try keto, there are 2 stumbling blocks in keto. One is the people who don't do the diet properly or who it's not for, and they fail at the very beginning, first 2 weeks. The next stumbling block and the last one with keto is when people exit out the other end. Unless you're saying to yourself, you're never going to eat pizza and pasta and rice and cookies ever again, which in that case, like, good job. You joined a cult and they don't let you have any fun because only God is fun now. And God's just a nickname for the leader, who oddly has a lot of female companions that are underage. Typical cult shit. My man. No, wait, that's bad. If you're not in a cult, you probably plan on, after your keto diet, returning back to a more normal, yet maybe lower carb, yet maybe more healthy, but some normal foods. The problem is if you have a slice of pizza after a keto diet, the carbs taste so good you end up having 10 slices. You get bloated, you get a headache, you gain 10 pounds, you're pissed, and you're like, what the fuck? And then you go back to keto, but then you're hungry again, and you're like, oh, there's a transition phase, and am I really just going to live the rest of my life in keto? It's a bad deal. The way to exit keto is strategic. Here's how you would do it. First, when you do keto, make sure you have plenty of lean proteins, plenty of healthy fats, and I recommend always, or almost always in every meal, a good serving of green veggies. They don't have a lot of calories, they have barely any carbohydrate at all. The fiber and the micronutrients are awesome. If you don't have those in there, you should. But if you don't, layer them in first for a week or 2 after the end of your keto diet, when you lost as much weight as you think you can lose for that period, and it's really getting annoying and tiring and hard. The next few weeks, layer fruits in, just fresh fruit. They have very few carbs. The carbs are almost always insanely low glycemic, so they don't crazy spike your blood sugar. You're not going to get this insane lack of energy and lethargy that you get to have when carbs re-enter the system. You're going to be buzzing. Everything's going to be feeling great. If that feels good for a week or 2 or 3, try to reintroduce small amounts of grains, some whole grain pasta, some brown rice, some quinoa, some shit like that, some beans. Once you got veggies in there and you got fruit in there in most meals of the day and some grains, man, you're not keto anymore. You're eating plenty of carbohydrate. Raise the amounts of those as as you see fit to fit your lifestyle choices, your preferences, and make sure your body weight is stable. And then all of a sudden, you're successfully out, you're off-ramped from keto, and everything's going just fine. And now you're eating carbs, but they're healthy carbs. That right there should form the core of your diet from there on out. And then if you want to eat some BS on the weekends, some pizza, some chips, great. But now because you're used to carbs, it's not going to cause you to gain a ton of pounds, just a few pounds. And then after a few days of the next week, when you're eating clean again, it goes back to normal and everything's great. And then if you ever want to try keto again to lose some more weight, well, you take out the grains, you take out the fruits, you leave in the veggies, you start keto. A few weeks later, you feel amazing again. Keto, low appetite, you do that for another 8 to 10 weeks. You get all your results, and then you ease back out with veggies, fruits, whole grains, and then normal foods. And that ease out period in total can be a week, and it can be 4 weeks long. Only continue to add in carbs as the carbs you have in make you feel good and energetic and calm and at peace. Your digestion feels good. Don't just add in veggies one day, next day add in fruits, next day add in whole grains, the day after have a whole pizza. That's too fast. Ease in, take your time, and you can ease into keto and ease out of keto, and then keto works really well. And if it works for you, it's super recommended, it's super healthy, it's super awesome, and I encourage your best results. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time.